Unit 9.5 and 9.6 are combined. It's a long project and it looks at bringing in everything you've learnt in years 7, 8 and 9 into one big project, an integrated project. So you're going to be using your skills that you've already learnt and applying them to a new scenario. And part of this project is looking at the system life cycle and understanding how projects work. So before we get on with the project, you've got some questions to answer from your knowledge recall, and you can find the answers to these in your knowledge organisers if you don't know them already. So what is image compression? What is lossless in an image compression? What is a vector image? And what is Unicode? So you might need to pause the video while you answer these questions in your ePortfolio. So in the project, we're going to understand the different stages of the system lifecycle, and we're going to look at what a project is, and then you're going to be given a scenario to look at, and you're going to analyse what the scenario is about and try and come up with a plan of how you're going to tackle that scenario and complete what's being asked of you. You'll need to identify the target audience from the scenario and think about what that target audience needs would be. And then you're going to try and work out some success criteria. So what must the project be able to do for it to be successful? So that's what we're looking at in this lesson. So first of all, we need to work out what a project is. So you'll be needing to pause the video and write your explanation of what you think a project is. Hopefully you've come up with the idea that a project is a series of tasks that need to be completed in order to reach a specific outcome or something along those lines. So all the different parts of the project, all the different tasks that need to be completed. So we're going to look at the project life cycle. Now, in any project, we start with the initiation phase of what is the project about. And then once that's complete, we can then move on to the project planning phase, which is phase 2. Following that, we get on to the execution phase. Now this is the doing part of the project where we complete the project. And then once we've done the project, we move on to the end of the project, which is a review stage, a project closure stage, so sometimes called project review. Now sometimes you can then carry on and repeat this cycle over and over again, which is why it's called a cycle, because it never ends, it always continues. Sometimes in a project, once you've thought about the project in the initiation and then you go to the planning, you might actually need to go back to the initiation phase and complete some more bits of that before you can move forward with the planning. And likewise, after you've done a bit of planning and go to the execution, the doing bit, you might need to go back and do a bit more planning and then go back to execution, and so on. So your project life cycle is cyclical. It does go round and round and it does move forward, but you can go back a stage if you need to. So stage of the project life cycle. I said we started with the initiation, and that's the first stage, and that's where we have a think about the purpose of the project, our considerations, what the purpose of the project is, who the target audience is, and what the main criteria of the project is, what we're trying to achieve. So what is the purpose of the project? So that's what the initiation phase is all about. Then we move on to the planning phase. Now this is a critical part of any project, and it's something that shouldn't be overlooked. You need to carefully plan what you're going to do and who's going to do the separate tasks. So it's the second stage of the project life cycle where an individual will need to consider any sort of targets that may need to be met, and any major milestones. So these are like major parts of the project that get completed to say, yes, I've done that task and now can move on to the next one. So you also need to work out what the starting timescale is and when you want your project to be completed. Once you've planned your project, you can then move on into the project evaluation phase, part 3. And the third stage of the project life cycle, where the project has had approval from somebody such as a senior manager who is overlooking the whole project, and then they say yes, they're happy with you to carry on with your project, and then you can get on and work on the individual tasks as part of the project evaluation. So once that's completed, we get to the project review stage. And this is, although I've said it's the fourth and final stage of the project life cycle, we can then move back into project initiation, where we can move forward with another project or refine our previous project. So it's an exercise that's undertaken at the end of the project to work out whether the project has been successful or not. So has it met the objectives that you originally set out to achieve? Now you're going to be given a project scenario to work on for the next several weeks. So as I said, it's a large project. It's going to take a few weeks to complete, and it needs to be broken down into lots of individual tasks. The scenario that you've been given is for a company called Games for You, and it's a new interactive game developing company based in Norfolk, and recently developed interactive education games for primary school children. That's pupils from reception up to year 6. And it's to help them learn and enjoy maths, English and science and other subjects throughout the interactive games. So the manager of Games for You has asked for you to promote the new company and also plan and create a presentation and promotional materials to advertise the new interactive educational games. You'll also need to create a financial spreadsheet model to track the daily sales of the interactive educational games. The project manager of the company has allowed you to decide on the content of the different tasks, but needs details of how to, and these are the different tasks that you need to complete. Plan and produce a professional logo for the new company. Plan and produce an electronic slide presentation about the interactive maths games. That could be like a PowerPoint or a Google Slides presentation. Plan and produce professional promotional materials, and that will be things like a newsletter that you're going to use to advertise the new interactive game. And you need to produce a financial model using financial model software such as a spreadsheet. So I've already said Microsoft Excel or Google Sheets, which is going to track the daily sales of the interactive educational games. So you need to answer these questions. What is the project about? Who is the project aimed at? What have you actually been asked to do? What are you going to do to achieve a successful project for the client? How long will it take you to complete the project? And how will you present the project to the client? Now, you then also need to answer these in your e-portfolio and also decide on success criteria. So your success criteria for Games for You will be: is the company logo used on all the promotional material to easily identify the company and what the company is about? Create a professional documentation to promote the interactive maths game. Create a professional electronic presentation, and create a financial model using spreadsheets to track the daily sales of the interactive educational games. So you need to explain that in your e-portfolio.